Series, stop number 2. First competitor on the water out of Winter Park, Florida, Greg Nekrasen.
This is Greg's second year on tour. Last year he came on strong, especially at the end, and got a 5th place finish at the Worlds. There was a switch stance front flip. Here he comes into the wake fakie for a half cab front side roll. Good carve into that wake for that front side front roll to fakie that's called the Scarecrow. Time running out.
Beautiful.
Greg nails the tantrum. Man, that was really, really clean. That entire pass.
Very nice first run.
Coming to the wake, switch stance there. Board going end over end for that front flip.
Greg Nekrasen ranked number 8 in the world. 92.67 for pass number 1. 5 tricks in the second pass, 25 seconds. Then, of course, the double up at the end of the second pass.
There's a half cab front flip for Greg Nekrasen. Here's a Whirly Bird. Yeah!
Oh, man.
Very, very quick rotation on that Whirly Bird. There's a half cab tantrum, and here comes his signature trick. If he can nail it, he's going to place high today. Yo! The tantrum to blind. When you do a trick to blindside, it is very, very difficult because on the landing, you cannot see where you're going. Now the board goes over his head and the rotation is blind, which means the rotation is the opposite way that you normally do that. That's why that trick is so difficult. All blind tricks are difficult, and you don't see that many riders doing them in a contest.
The double up now for Nekrasen, a chance for up to 1,000 style points. Oh, very nice.
That was a 540. The judges love that. That's a lot of rotation in the air. He hits the double up cleanly, shifty. He shifts it a little bit, and the board goes backwards rotation. Then he spins it, changes his rotation midair, and the judges are really, really going to enjoy that trick. Oh.
Nice style points for Nekrasen, possibly some of those coming from that double up. The total score for both passes, 19,697. He is our leader and gets us underway for the Mastercraft Charleston Open at one of the finest venues on the Pro Tour, Trophy Lakes, here in South Carolina. Darren Shapiro returns for 1997 after a year and a half off. He wins stop number 1.
Darren came in with a dramatic speedball to take the field in the first event.
And the world champion did not qualify in Orlando, but he's here in Charleston. Dean Lavelle.
He's changed his game plan, and it worked. He qualified here.
Parks Bonifay takes to the water, the Sea-Doo Wakeboard Series champion last year, also Wakeboarder of the Year from Wakeboard Magazine. His first pass.
Parks going to start off with the S-bend, and he goes large on it. You know, Parks has got to put in a few more difficult tricks now. The level of all the riders has gone up, and if Parks is going to repeat as Tour champion, I want to see him throw some more Mobiuses and some more big tricks. Right there is a half cab front flip. Going large. There's a Vulcan. Beautiful. Turn the board to fakie right at the end there, and that was a very, very impressive pass. Here's his first trick, the S-bend. Look at the extension. I mean, he is in the air for a long time. Then he slows the board down at the end of his trick so that he can get back to the wake. You know, you only have 25 seconds to complete all your tricks. And here's the Vulcan. Giant extension once again, and then instead of the board going all the way around, he turns it to fakie right at the end, and that's why that trick is called the Vulcan. And man, that was very impressive.
Parks Bonifay, pass 1, big score, 10,410. Put up the FSL clock, 25 seconds, pass number 2.
Frontside Rayleigh was his first trick. That trick is more difficult than it looks because you're coming into the wake frontside, and you have to get the board out way, way, way behind you. Now coming into the wake switch stance, there's a switch stance S-bend. He is putting more difficult tricks in his pass today. Here comes a Mobius. Yes! He lands it clean, turns the board into the fakie position. Time's running out. Switch stance Vulcan. Parks Bonifay, he's got to be happy.
He's dancing on the water. He loves it.
Now here comes the Mobius. Look at the handle pass. Right there in the small of his back. He nails it cleanly. Then he turns the board fakie, turns the board around because his last trick is a switch stance Vulcan. Killer extension, his legs way out behind him, almost looks like he's off axis, but he's really not, and he landed that trick clean.
Parks Bonifay, 2 passes. Now the double up for style points.
Oh,
man, that was close.
Parks is going huge on these double up attempts. It's a front side whirly bird coming into the wake front side, trying to do a roll and have the board do a 360-degree turn while the rope is over his head and he can't pull it off. But the judges will enjoy the fact that he went for it.
10,613. This is a whopper of 2 passes. 21,023. Colombian coffee. Look for this symbol to find the richest coffee in the world. And by Sea-Doo Watercraft. Sea-Doo, the best-selling boat in the world. Everybody's doing it. Sea-Doo. Sunshiny day here in Charleston, South Carolina. Stop number 2 on the Sea-Doo Pro Wakeboard Series. And the biggest name in wakeboarding, the 96 world champion and the reigning world champ, Dean Lavelle, joining us here in Charleston. You've qualified, as was not the case in Orlando.
Yes, it took a little bit easier run and was saving a lot of the harder tricks for today. So hopefully we'll have a nice stand-up run today.
As much as you guys are friends in the world of wakeboarding, competition is there. It's pretty fierce at times. Do you take away a little respect from yourself by not qualifying in that first tournament of the season? How do the other guys look at you right now?
Well, I was a little nervous when I went out on Friday. I definitely wanted to put together a consistent run and make it in this time, and that's what I did. And now I'm ready to put all the goods out and go against some of these harder competitors throwing great runs, just incredible big tricks. So there's a lot of competition.
As the world champ, your comments on the return of Darren Shapiro?
Return of Darren, he's riding extremely well. He's very focused. That's always one of the fears with Darren. So I know that I got to be equally as focused if I'm going to beat him.
So Dean Lavelle changing his strategy a little bit coming here into Charleston. One guy who hasn't changed a whole lot, Shaun Murray, voted the most consistent rider in the world in 1996.
Shaun did not place well in Orlando, however, and he's refocusing his efforts here as he lands that hoochie glide to fakie. Coming to the wake front side for a front side roll, which he lands fakie. A little bit of a bobble right there. Running out of time. There's his mob, a backside Mobius. Right at the gun there, a crow mob. That's a front side front roll Mobius, and that is a very, very difficult trick, and he nailed 2 extremely hard tricks right at the end of his first pass. There's the crow mob right there.
See the riders getting a little close to shore. Trophy Lakes here in South Carolina, man-made for water skiing. When they built this, they weren't thinking about wakeboarding. 10,118 points for Shaun Murray. Pass number 2 now, 25 seconds on the FSL clock, and we'll look for the double-up trick at the end.
Shaun Murray landing his tricks way out in the flats. Look at that scarecrow, which was a frontside front roll to revert. Good grab on that hoochie glide. Now he turns aboard fakie.
He's had a top 10 finish at the last 2 world championships.
And here comes his whirly bird. Yeah, nice whirly.
That's one of the big reasons why.
The whirly bird is a tantrum where you do a complete 360 in the air with the rope over your head. He takes off clean from the wake, waits a little bit, then throws the rotation and lands the trick very, very nicely.
2 passes complete, but still some style points yet to be had. The double up for Shaun Murray. The cut.
Oh, he looked like he was going for a 540 or a 720 whirly, but he did not make it. Now this double-up competition is giving the riders a chance to try all kinds of funny stuff, all kinds of very, very aggressive maneuvers. Shaun going for a 720 whirly bird. Can't make it, but still, the judges appreciate the aggressiveness.
It's exciting with the occasional face slap happening as well. 10,083, that gives Murray 20,201. That'll put him in 2nd position right now in competition.
That means Parks Bonifay is still our leader. You know, there's been some changes in the boats this year. Here's Doug to tell us all about it.
You've probably noticed by now there's a brand new boat we're using on the tour for the wakeboarders this season. It's the 97 Mastercraft X-Star. What is it? It's a modified 205. The biggest features about the X-Star: bow seating up front, bring along some extra friends or family members. Little wider, little bit longer. All the way up top in the middle, we've got the extended pylon. This is standard on the X-Star. What's the big deal? Well, you know the pros are using it. You hook your rope way up high. It makes those seemingly impossible big air tricks a lot easier to accomplish by hooking up top. Then you can graduate on down to the middle settings. X-Star also, how can you go wakeboarding without some tunes? A fabulous
high-performance stereo in the dash for you. And in the back of the boat, on the tour, we load up the boat with a little bit of extra weight for the wakeboarders. You can do the same thing. Standard in the X-Star, a nylon lightweight fat sack, but it gets really heavy when you fill it with a lot of water, nearly 500 pounds. Bigger wake out back, bigger air for you at home. And the bottom line with a fat sack is, if it's a really long day on the water, makes for a really nice water bed.
When we come back to Charleston, South Carolina, man who won the World Championships last year, Dean Lavelle, take to the water. Bonifay Lakes, sunshine, 80 degrees here in Charleston. It's the Mastercraft Charleston Open, second stop on the Sea-Doo Wakeboard Series. Earlier in competition, the Sea-Doo Wakeboard Series had the Sea-Doo Team Challenge. It was Chase Hefner.
Chase is making a lot of noise. First time he ever qualified was at this tournament, but he's known as one of the world's best free riders, hanging out with the likes of Gator, Fire.
And then to double
Lakes, sunshine, 80 degrees here in Charleston. It's the Mastercraft Charleston Open, second stop on the Sea-Doo Wakeboard Series. Earlier in competition, the Sea-Doo Wakeboard Series had the Sea-Doo Team Challenge. It was Chase Hefner.
Chase is making a lot of noise. First time he ever qualified was at this tournament, but he's known as one of the world's best free riders, hanging out with the likes of Gator, Byerly, and Billy McCaffrey.
Darren Shapiro back on tour and back in style when it comes to the Sea-Doo Team Challenge.
Team 2 really put it to team number 1 and got a clear victory this morning. 138.5 points for Team 2. Earlier today, Doug spoke with a former world champion who's currently on the injured reserve list.
Standing by right now with Scott Byerly as competition continues. Scott, how's the left arm doing?
It's doing all right. I just got to wait 2 more weeks for these pins to come out. I tried riding this weekend. I just fell on my second pass. So.
You virtually, in trying to qualify for the weekend, though, you rode one-handed the whole time.
Yeah, I just put a rubber glove over my arm and put a little duct tape on it. Rode with one arm. I thought I could do it. I went out and did all my tricks before I came here, but I fell, so no big deal. I was out here having fun. Can't wait till it gets off and I can really compete.
Dean Lavelle, 96 world champion, did not qualify in the first stop. Here in Charleston, he changed up his method of getting into the final round of competition, but now he'll likely pull it all out.
You got to go huge when you're in the finals here. Everybody's riding so well. You cannot hold anything back. There's a front side half cab front flip where he started fakie and landed forward.
Not seeing the big air coming this way because the riders are going with the wind. The next pass will be a different story.
Here's the last trick, a switch stance Vulcan. Look at the board. He takes off switch stance with the board in the fakie position, and right at the end, he turns the board back into the forward position. This is a very, very difficult trick. He's switch stance, a good switch stance carve, and then right at the end there, turns the board back into the forward position, and he pulls it off.
He's halfway done. Dean Lavelle, first pass, 10,193. A little low on the style points, though, and maybe because of the wind, keeping him down and not getting as big of air. Should be a different story heading into the wind.
Big S-bend for his first trick. Now, coming into the wake backside, giant backside half cab front flip. The Whirly Bird, very, very quick rotation on that Whirly Bird. Oh, a Scarecrow Mobius. Beautiful style on that Scarecrow Mobius.
And look at the time left after the Vulcan.
Dean getting all his tricks in very, very quickly, not wanting to run out of time. And look at that Scarecrow Mob. Nice handle pass. That's a very, very difficult trick. And then here's the Vulcan. Comes up to it, good extension, turns the board fakie. He lands it.
And the world champion is back in form, and now an opportunity for style points, the double up.
Coming into it, heel side, he nailed it, passes the handle. That was an incredible trick. Dean taking advantage of the double up. Now, on the double up, you can do whatever you want, and Dean certainly expressed himself. Coming in heel side, handle pass right there. The board does a complete 360, and Dean makes it.
The combination of style and grace for the world champion, and he is now our new leader.
Competition here in Charleston, South Carolina. Wakeboarders are getting set to get back on the water. And as you've noticed, obviously, in this tour stop and over the last year of competition, wakeboarding today really defined by big air. But that wasn't the case just a few years ago. We had surface tricks that most of the riders were doing on tour. And the old technology, if you will, were these phasers, as they're called, that were carved into the bottom of each board. And this would really break up the surface of the water as it traveled underneath the board. And what that would do is almost provide a cushion for the rider to make it real easy for the 180 and the 360-degree spins on the water. But this is old, as mentioned. The new technology from the wakeboard industry, flat bottom boards, the launch pad, if you will, for all those big air tricks you're seeing on tour today. Also, the wider board allowing more surface area to really launch off the wake, and the speed to get there has been taken care of and modified as well. Razor knife sharp edges providing a hard cut to the wake to get way up in the air. Technology for the riders on tour and for you as well.
How we stand right now here in Charleston, Dean Lavelle, our current leader with 21,178. Murray, Necrassen rounding out the top four, but one of those guys on tour back for 97. Darren Shapiro is one of the hardest cutting and highest flying wakeboarders you'll see.
He is so compact and so strong that he can carve unbelievably well every time. He's asking for more speed right there, and they're giving it to him. Switch stance S-bend. Darren putting together a harder run this time than he had in Orlando. The Mobius, he loses a handle. The trick looked clean, he just lost the handle.
I think it might have started actually on the way into the wake before he got to the trick. Had a problem getting that board straightened out and getting his edge in.
Looked like he had a little bobble. The rotation looks clean, he just loses a handle. Does not grab the handle, and it's all over for Shapiro. It's not too often where you see a fall from Darren, but when you do, you know Darren's disappointed. Just everything looked good, but that's the thing about the Mobiuses. They're very difficult because of the handle pass. It's one of the most critical tricks that you can perform in a competition.
You mentioned he's out of it with a score of 42-33 on pass number one. He certainly is out of the running for probably the top three spots with the great riders on tour today, but he will be a showman. 25 seconds, the second pass, and then we possibly will see the speedball for the second time, the double front flip on the double up.
Darren Shapiro has absolutely no pressure on him whatsoever right now. He's just going out there riding as huge as he possibly can, knowing that there's no way he can get a victory here. Here comes a front side skeezer. Look at that trick. He lands it blind.
Yeah, but he says, man, if I only had that first run back.
Let's watch his carve here. It's similar to how you have to carve for a frontside rail. You got to have a big, giant frontside carve, and then he lands that trick blindside. The judges like when you land a trick blind.
In Orlando, we saw the speedball, double front flip. Will we see it? Yes!
Oh!
And he gets it again. Probably the finest trick on tour.
That was cleaner than the one he did in Orlando. Now he uses a double up, so he gets a big launch pad, and then he just gets his body super, super tight rotation. He's at least 25 feet up in the air, and then floats it down in there for that landing.
Darren, just like years ago, you set standards in wakeboarding for everybody. You continue to do so. The double front, the speedball at the end, take us through it.
Well, when the boat turns around and I see the double up coming, if the double up looks good, then I decide that I'm going to go for it. You know, if the double up doesn't look too good, I'm not going to risk busting myself up.
And the landing seems like the part where you're going to bust it. It almost looks like you're slamming your chin every time.
Well, there is a heck of a lot of impact. And I don't know, it's when you have that much desire to do a maneuver like that, you kind of look past getting hurt and hurting yourself, and just the whole idea of making a trick like that and taking wakeboarding to another level.
The 96 world champion, Dean Lavelle, is still number one here in Charleston, South Carolina, but whoo, it's tough hanging at the top. Sitting and waiting, wondering if he'll walk away a winner. Jeremy Kovac, the last man on a wakeboard who'll have a chance to knock Lavelle out. Dean Lavelle, the leader. Jeremy Kovac, the Canadian, third on the tour last year. His opportunity for victory.
Giant frontside railing. You know, that trick is so difficult, and all these riders are doing that frontside railing because it's a high point scoring trick, and they make it look so easy.
And a little different style for Kovac. He's such a big guy, he doesn't look like he's cutting at the wake nearly as hard as the other guys, but he gets the air.
He keeps his torso much more upright than the other riders. Look at that on that Whirly Bird. That was a trick he fell on in Orlando, and then he does the air Mobius. Jeremy Kovac looks very focused today. Clean first pass.
He said he wants to get rid of all those second place finishes and get back on the winning track.
That was a very nice Whirly Bird. He had good extension. He lifted the trick up off the wake a lot more than he did at Orlando when he fell on it. And there's the air Mobius. Jeremy, clean first pass.
10,588 style points, 3,500 plus. Second pass, 25 seconds on the FSL clock.
Big backside car for that Vulcan. The board turning to fakie right at the end there. Coming in the wake, switch stance. Switch stance grip as he lands it forward. Here comes a Mobius. Yeah, huge
Beautiful.
Mobius. Perfect form, lands it way out in the flats. An air front flip with the board going end over end. 3 seconds left, coming into the wake, switch stance. Switch stance, Mobius. Oh, 2 clean, perfect passes for Jeremy.
Jeremy Kovac may have just pulled the rug out from under Dean Lavelle.
Look at that handle pass. You saw Darren earlier miss the handle. There's Jeremy with the handle right in the small of his back, and he makes the handle pass.
Chance for some style points. The double up. Oh, man.
That was a delayed front flip. He goes up totally straight and waits, and then starts his rotation when he's already 4 or 5 feet in the air.
Wow.
Look at that. Delays it, and then boom. That is so cool. That is a great looking trick.
Visually exciting. Jeremy Kovac brings it all to the table, trying to get off the schneid, and 11,222. Let's total it up for Kovac, 21,810, and he is our winner here in Charleston. Dean Lavelle, my goodness, he doesn't qualify in Orlando, the frustration, and he'll finish second on tour stop number 2 for the Sea-Doo Wakeboard Series. Jeremy Kovac, the winner, and a very surprising 9th place finish for Shapiro. Jeremy, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you very much.
You load the passes. You got five tricks, 1,500 plus points each. Did you load these 2 passes to win or to be up in the top?
To be honest with you, I made a run that I figured that if I stood up was either going to take first or second. You know, there's some great skiing going on, but my skiing just hasn't been up to par lately. And I knew it was going to take a huge run, and I knew I had 6 tricks that were over 1,500 points. And I knew if I stood up, it was a good chance I was going to win. If not, you know, take second. And, you know, I stood up, and I came out on the top.
Canadian Jeremy Kovac shaking things up in the Sea-Doo Wakeboard Series. For Tony Finn, I'm Doug Dunbar. We'll see you next time.